I quote, "Don't you dare underestimate the power of your own instinct," as said by Barbara Corcoran. The increasing presence of women as entrepreneurs has actually led to significant business and economic growth in the country. Women owned business enterprises are actually playing a prominent role in society by not only generating employment opportunities in the country, but also bringing in demographic shifts and inspiring the next generation of women founders. The vision is to now promote the sustainable development of women entrepreneurs for a balanced growth in the country and strengthen women entrepreneurship as well. In fact, India has a total of 58.5 million entrepreneurs, out of which yet it's only 8.05 million who are women entrepreneurs. And over the last decade, we've witnessed an increase from 14 to 20%. Hello and welcome to Big Ibrahim. I'm Hiral Dadia. And joining us on the show today are Ghazal Alagh, founder at Mamaearth, Surabhi Talwar, co-founder and CEO at Happy Jars, and Divya Gokulnath, co-founder at BYJUS. Firstly, wishing all you women a happy Women's Day, and let's continue to making a difference to society.
Thank you, and the same to you.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. How do you handle work-life balance? How do you work? In terms of a new boardroom full of men, do you feel intimidated when when you're a strong CEO? Or how did you get enough money for doing this business? Did your husband help you? Or where is your business partner? These have been questions which keep coming to you as a woman entrepreneur. But I think we've reached a stage where it's time to get over these questions, right? So, Ghazal, let me come to you first. According to the Women's Global Entrepreneurship Study that was conducted in US, UK, and India, that was commissioned by Dell, it was found that the ideal country for a woman starting a business could well be India. What's your view on that?
I think it's very well put. India is a growing economy, and for that matter, women starting businesses in India, especially startups. And if you look at the SMEs that are being run by women, you will be surprised by that number. So this is definitely a country of opportunities. We are here to make a mark in the world with what we are doing, and I think the Indian women are getting stronger day by day, and we are going to see them create a very positive impact in the ecosystem.
Absolutely. And taking the ecosystem into consideration, so be coming to you, do you think access to resources and availability in terms of knowledge for women entrepreneurs has actually improved drastically over the years?
I think so. I think when we were in school and college, perhaps we were seeing that shift happen. But as of right now, there's definitely far more access, especially with things like online courses. So many networking women's groups that have come up over the course of the last 2 to 3 years. I think the opportunity today is much bigger than it was even 5 years in the past. And I hope more and more of us take that opportunity to become entrepreneurs and female leaders in every aspect.
Right. Vidya, let me come to you. You've been in the business with your husband. You started your journey as a teacher at the age of 21. How has your journey been overall, as a woman entrepreneur? And how has it been different to a man?
It's been 15 years. And just yesterday, somebody joked and asked me, "What were you a child when you started?" I said, "No, I was 21." But it's been so long. And wow, what a journey it's been. And today, when I look back, sometimes it looks like, every step of it would have been planned, like a perfectly laid out plan, but it wasn't anything like that. We took it one step at a time. Now, probably the biggest difference between Baiju and me would be that Baiju started as a teacher and I started as a student, right? So I started as his student. The student became a teacher. Teacher became so many things which you would become if you're an entrepreneur. So, I have two children, 9-year-old and 2-year-old. And those who ask me about the age gap, I say, the biggest baby was born in between, which is the learning app, which was launched in 2015. And that takes all the attention and time from us. So it's like bringing up another child. So, in terms of responsibility, and since it's Women's Day, maybe I can give a similar analogy. It's like bringing up a child. Your role really depends on what has to be done on that day, at that moment, in that week, right? It's completely variable, but it's just about making sure that that baby is growing and thriving and getting all the attention it needs. So and over the years, I've evolved from becoming a teacher, and I think being a teacher has helped me so much in becoming the person I am today. I've learned the importance of not just education and the impact it can have on children, on their future. I've also learned from children the importance of being a learner each and every day of your life. So, no matter how much older you get, you actually stay younger by learning every day. So, yes, I'm a teacher, I'm an entrepreneur. Some people say I'm a leader. I'm definitely a mother, right? And a daughter, daughter in law. And there's so many roles that all of us play. In today's day and age, we wear so many more hats than men do. And I think men are also now starting to wear more hats. If you see the notion, which used to be there before, that women can take care and men can take charge, it's slowly changing to women can take care and take charge, and men can take charge and take care.
And overall, how important, according to you, Ghazal, is the support, from around you to successfully establish an enterprise? And I'm not saying that only being a woman, you should be getting that support. Even for a man, that support from your surrounding is absolutely crucial. Maybe a couple of percentage more for women, at least as of today. How would you take that?
This is a topic which is really dear to my heart because I've learned the importance of having a community around you to help you in the process of creating something is actually uncomparable with it. And there's an inherent belief that if you're asking for help, it's a sign of weakness, be it for a man or a woman, right? Which is the myth that I've broken over time, and I actively tell other entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, to keep asking for help, right? It's actually a sign of strength and not a weakness, because what you're saying is that this is very important to me. It's not worth giving up. And in the process of building and creating an impact is where I would like other people to support me. And what I've realized over time is that people around me were actually very good. Somewhere in our minds, we believe that if we ask for help, we might not get it. But if you actively go out and ask for help, you'll be surprised by the amount of support you get from people around you.
And
So having a community to support you, to lift you up, to help you during your difficult times is the most important thing. Back in 2016, when I started, I actually was looking out for more women entrepreneurs that I could talk to, that I could learn from. I was actively looking for mentors to give me that kind of support on what it takes to build a business and how to navigate between these personal and professional conflicts. And unfortunately, back then the number was fairly small. It took me a while to come up with a set of just 4 or 5 women as well. But I think today, over the last 5 6 years, this has changed dramatically. We have so many women leading by example, available to talk to, actively mentoring other women entrepreneurs. And that's something that I'm actively also pursuing, right? I believe that if every woman entrepreneur just takes this as an ambition to share the journey and guide 3 fellow women entrepreneurs and also tell them to do the same further. That's just one small action which can create a fairly large.
absolutely. And that ecosystem, as you mentioned, is important. A challenge which was back then a major hurdle, as you mentioned, when you started off, is now improving now. Surbi, if you have to talk about your journey and what was it that was your biggest challenge to establish yourself?
I think I had the good luck of having a very good education and getting into working very young. So I was about 21 when I first started my job, and I worked for about 13, 14 years before the bug of entrepreneurship got to me. I think for me, one of the toughest things was that I had all this confidence, and I was like, I can do anything because I was brought up in a family that told me doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, you can literally do whatever you put your mind to. So it was around November when I discovered I was pregnant, and in December I quit my job to become a full-time entrepreneur. And I think that really put a lot of things into perspective. I think one of the things that I learned over time, and it was a really big learning, was that you might feel like you can get everything that you want, and it's really good to chase after that. But like Ghazal said, you can't do it without asking people around you to step in. So having a young kid and a young business all at the same time definitely needed not one village, but perhaps two. And some crazy hours, of course, on the work front. But I think all of those kind of challenges really got me to where I am today, which is to say very, very resilient, being able to take knocks, but also being able to get up and say, you know what, yesterday was a bad day, but today is going to be better.
Divya, you've been into business since almost more than a decade now, right? A decade ago, the way women entrepreneurs were actually viewed is very different to how they are viewed today. So, how would you actually distinguish between these two, situations?
Entrepreneurship in general, right? And I haven't really seen any difference in, see, women entrepreneurship versus men entrepreneurship. And it sounds odd when you say men entrepreneurship, right? Because men entrepreneurship, it's the norm, so we don't say it. Women entrepreneurship seems to be an exception. So we need to come up to a situation, and maybe it's not today, but maybe in at least another 10 or 15 years, where again women entrepreneurship becomes so much of a norm that it feels odd to say women entrepreneur, right? So like we feel uncomfortable saying men entrepreneur. That thing doesn't exist. So that is the future, and that's where it should lead. Things have moved a lot for the better. So a decade ago, say a move like what I did, where a lot of people say I gave up my career to go abroad, pursue my master's, in a very upcoming subject, biotechnology, and choose a teaching or career path. Today, entrepreneurship, it would have sent shockwaves. Today doesn't send shockwaves, right? Today, starting up is something which is highly respected. Today, starting up as a is considered an equal profession, a very cool profession. So I would say the scene for entrepreneurship, the appetite for entrepreneurship has changed. True, the macro has changed too. But then again, to start a company, it's not about having $10 million. It's about having 2 to 3 people with a strong passion, a great idea, and the will to make this happen and address a need in society and solve that at scale. So, and even for women, what really has changed, if I can look at it over the past decade, maybe a decade ago there were fewer people. So, and maybe as I was, and I won't say even a decade ago, right? Let's talk about the scene 20 years back, when all of us were in our teenage years, growing up, aspiring, having ambitions. I never knew, I didn't have that much exposure to entrepreneurship like young women have today, where they look at this as one of their career options and paths. Today, when I speak to young teenage girls, they say, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to start up, I want to be my own boss. That we would not have heard so much, say, 20 years ago. uh, and 10 years ago, a little lesser, but today it's getting more and more common. So that's been the change. The change has been more representation. The change has been that there are so many more women out there. The change has been that we are enabling so many more women within our teams to come up to leadership positions, so that we can show many, many more young girls out there that, you can do it too.
Gaza, coming to you, you and Varun are in the same line of business, right? Both of you are traveling the journey together. Now, in terms of the journey, do you see a difference in terms of how Varun has been viewed as an entrepreneur versus how you've been viewed as an entrepreneur? Has there been a difference, firstly? And has that difference started to minimize over time now?
So there was a difference, and yes, it has started to minimize out over time. I think when we had started out, Varun and I were not just founder and a co-founder, we were also husband and wife. So a lot of personal equation also came into picture on how you guys are going to manage, because we were also young parents, right? So some of those questions around the work front were being targeted to him, and all of the questions on the personal front were being targeted to me. That was the first time I encountered that, okay, this is going to be perceived differently. But fair, we had our answers. I at least had my fair share of plans that I put on paper back then. This is how I'm going to navigate.
Mm.
But I think there is a certain bias. It will take us some time to get over it. It's getting better over the years, because women now has proved, at least, like a Divya, like a Surabhi, they've led by example. They've set up their brands. They're doing a fab job, and People are more convinced that women can do it all now. But over the last 6 years, I think there also was a time when, um, especially in the SMEs where, you were talking to ingredient suppliers, you're talking to packaging vendors, you're talking to people who are working in the factory. And whenever it comes to financials, they would often come back and ask that, is there a way that I can talk to? Is there a finance expert that I can talk to? And that did not come from a conversation which was not healthy, but a pure bias in their mind that they were not comfortable having such conversations with a woman, right? Um, of course, all of those people are now working with me. They're fairly comfortable. We have established very strong relationships, but I did come across some of that bias in a lot of different ways. The only thing was that, like I say, you do something and you make a change. And what are the actions that I will take to change that is what I focus more on than letting it pull me down.
Right. So, Surabhi, for you as well, in terms of access to finance, that's always been a barrier, when it's always spoken to about with a woman or a man, right? Now, there are a lot of government schemes that have come in which target low level women entrepreneurs. Have you seen that change with VCs, banks as well, in terms of the financial barrier side of it?
I think definitely. I mean, I think the fact that um, at the VC level, you now have people who are trying to run funds that are more women friendly, and you will see a larger and larger cohort of women that they are funding. And I think that speaks to the fact that perhaps there was a bias that existed, or just a natural progression of money towards men because they used to have that job in the past. So I think we're definitely working at a much larger level to make sure that access to funding is there. But I also think a large part of it is because we're not as comfortable talking about finance as women sometimes. And I'm not talking about people like, of course, Ghazal, Divya, and I have had to kind of build that up front. But there are still women who will defer to someone more senior or someone who has more knowledge when it comes to finance. And I think it's also because we've just perhaps in school we're not used to liking maths, or we're not used to going towards the investment banking line of things, and it's been many generations perhaps of thinking that way, but I think it's starting to change very obviously. And I think in today's day and age, even when I meet other women entrepreneurs over conversation, my expectation is you will know your P&L. You will know how to look at it because it's not scary numbers. As long as you understand that those numbers actually define what your business is today, and put kind of a reality check on a number is showing you where your business is. And I think I've also had certain conversations where, because my co-founder is also my husband, and we've had conversations where very clearly the body kind of shifts towards one when asking one set of questions. And then I'm the co-founder and CEO, and I handle the finance part. So the answers would be coming from me. And nowadays, you see that's not that much of it doesn't pull up eyebrows as much as it used to earlier. They expect that you will know and you will be as good at answering financial equations as anyone as well. So
Right. In fact, when this point as well, I mean, as a personal experience itself, uh, back then, probably 6, 7 years ago, when my husband and I, we started off our small startup doing ready to drink mocktails and mixers. At that point in time, I was always the finance person, and he was more on the marketing and the sales and the production side, right? And when we went to investors, specifically when it was male investors, and it was me who was asking answering financial questions, and when they weren't, it was a very reverse psychology that was happening. Is okay, why is she answering? That means you guys don't know your business well. So at that point in time, also it struck me. I said, wow, I mean, this is not something which could be expected. And now, if you, as a woman, if you don't know it, that's when they take it in a bad way. I mean, yeah, probably you don't know your business around. But yes, trends are changing. And I think it's no longer fashionable to actually shrug off financial know how and leave it to coyly to the boys as well, right? Divya, what's been your biggest challenge as a woman entrepreneur in the journey which actually led you to achieve what you already achieved so far?
So growing up, I actually did not have a challenge. I think I was one of those gifted children, right? I say gifted because I was not brought up with the myopic lens of gender. not brought up as a girl or a boy, but brought up as a child. And that's the reason I am where I am today, with equal exposure to academics, arts, sports, culture, heritage, everything. So I was brought up like a child should be. Now, when I started my career, and although I started as a teacher, and somewhere along the way, we got married. Baiju and I got married, and it's just that being a woman, you always have to doubly prove. You have to do so much more because it's there is a home to take care of. There are people that you have to take care of, be it your elders, be it your children. The responsibility is always yours first. That won't change. And there is a reason for that, right? Women are known to have a bigger role to play in caring for their immediate family. They always known to put others first. So it was a challenge to be able, especially once I had my children, to be able to balance work and home. And I think it would be a lie for someone to say that it's very easy to manage both. It's extremely difficult. It takes a toll on you, but it's something that is intensely satisfying, because if you're able to pull off something at work, and if you're able to give time to your children, nothing can give you more happiness. So it was also, while it was a challenge, it was also an opportunity, because I learned how to manage time better. I learned how to value every minute and make every minute count. So I am not someone who says that you need to work from morning to night, but I am someone who says that whatever time you devote to whatever you do, give it your 100%.
And overall, Ghazal, if you see in terms of the current business environment as well, a lot of companies that get impacted, specifically during COVID as well. When you hear stories of companies on Shark Tank or any of the other shows as well, uh, clearly the way they've been able to come out, of that entire period is really encouraging, right? Do you think a woman from a problem solving perspective is better placed than a man to manage tough times, taking into consideration the experience that they have from working out things at home?
I would love to say yes, but I don't have any numbers backing this statement up.
Right.
Yeah, I very strongly believe that women are naturally very good and efficient at managing time as well as money. If you look back at what's so, it's been the women who have been managing household expenses, ma- the entire housework, while also taking care of the work outside the house, while also managing kids. And that's something which comes naturally to us. I can't speak for men because I haven't experienced being their weight or in their body, but that's definitely a strength that we have. That said, I've also seen a lot of women give up their financial independence. They're limited to saying that, okay, we are earning money. But then once it comes home, it's the counterpart or somebody who's a man in the family who's managing it afterwards. That is one thing that I wish to see getting changed. I think women would be much more confident about their abilities, about their skills. They'd be much more open talking about it, and that confidence actually comes from being not just financially independent, but also independently managing those finances and money, right? So if you're in control of where do you put your money, how do you multiply it, I think that entire knowledge base and know-how can make this statement get backed by numbers, and that's when we can talk about it even more confidently.
Absolutely. In fact, Surbi, what would that one thing be that you would want to change as a woman entrepreneur uh, at this point in time?
I think with relations to finance, actually, I feel very passionately about women understanding finance. I think it is one of the things that set me up in good stead because I got put into investment banking after economics, and I had all of this very theoretical mathematical side. Though ironically, I chose humanities with math. So again, I think that brings the softer side of wanting to work with consumers and things like that. But I feel that today, if I could help even just 10 women to feel less worried about handling the financial aspects of a business, because I think we do it very naturally, but we're not perhaps we're not fond of bookish mathematics, and therefore we shy away from taking responsibility for it. But I feel very strongly that women need to be financially independent, and I think financial independence in the real world, in your daily life, is perhaps the first step towards feeling the confidence to be a woman in other aspects of your life. Because whatever it is, whether it's good times or bad, if you know that I will not be either hungry or homeless or, it doesn't matter if I choose to leave my employment, it gives you a tremendous amount of confidence. So if there's one thing I could do, and in fact, that's something I'm very, very happy to help talk to other women entrepreneurs about, not just entrepreneurs, but women in general, is understanding your own money and your own maths, so to speak, of just daily stuff that you spend on.
Divya, being a woman entrepreneur, would that one thing be that you would want to change as a woman entrepreneur?
There is this whole misconception about the way in which we measure equality. So we believe in numbers everywhere, right? We say that if you are present 50% of the room, then it's equality. But slowly and steadily, I've come to understand from the boardrooms that I've been in to panel discussions that I've been part of, while we may be on an average 20% of the room, we're at least 60% of the voice, right? So it isn't really just about quantity, it's about quality. So I know that we are far and few yet in leadership positions. But what I want to say is that those who are at the top are really speaking up. We are not sitting at the table for us just for the seat at the table. We are sitting at the table to make sure that we are making a valid point and we're bringing up people and we're driving impact. And I've seen this happen multiple times. So I want to measure outcomes and goals, not in terms of just representation numbers, but in terms of outcomes and impact which is delivered, right? In terms of if you go to a meeting, it's not about, say, only 20% of the women attended the meeting. But if this was your goal, in this was the outcome achieved, what percentage of that outcome achieved was attributable to women's inputs and ideas? Can we move to that? Because then the way you measure the whole equation of representation changes. And all you never know, but you may already be having that kind of representation which we're looking forward to, and then it won't be that difficult to achieve that equality which we're looking for, numbers and otherwise.
Absolutely important, from a business perspective as well. Uh, Ghazal, coming to you, what would that one message from you be, not only to the women entrepreneurs, because on these kind of days, that's the only thing we look out for, right? Like, as to what's that one message you will have. But a message to the men supporting these women is also very important. So, what would be that two bit of information or advice that you would want to give the men and the women?
I've seen something make a huge difference at my own house. And that is when men and women take up equal responsibilities,
Mm.
right? Not just at work or family or the interpersonal relationships, which is your relatives, your friends, etc. When you just mentally align that, okay, you are as important as I am, your wishes are equally important as mine are, and nobody is biased towards taking a role, so to say, right? That this is my role and I'm doing it well, this is your role and this is the differentiation, and hence, this is how that doesn't pan out when you're a couple. So I think, be it in business, be it at home, be it with your business partner or your family partner, equal responsibility across verticals is something which would be very helpful. And for example, today I am in Bombay doing this interview while I also have three other events, while my husband and co-founder is back at home taking care of my kids because he's sick. My kids are unwell. I think that is what I'm talking about, right? That when that comes to the picture, everything else gets taken care of. And I think women, all we want is an equal opportunity. It's not like we want something out of the way or we want to have that flag that we are women and we deserve this and all of that. No, it's just one simple thing. See us the way you see others, and that sort of takes care of everything. After that, we fly. I've seen that within my organization as well, where one small action helped us be gender neutral when it came to the population of our organization, right? So we are 51% women in our company. And that one action was whenever you are pulling out CVs for any role, just ensure you're pulling out 50-50. and everything else got taken care of. So I think it's these small things like these which make a lot of impact. And I very strongly believe that if you want to chase a bigger milestone, it is the smaller steps which will make you reach there.
Absolutely. That support to a woman in terms of letting her believe in her dream and executing, no matter if it's a failure or a success, because that failure is going to be a stepping stone to success. That support system is absolutely important, as Ghazal is also mentioning. Survi, from your end, what would you want to advise a budding entrepreneur, maybe a woman or a man right now?
I would say definitely give it a shot, eyes wide open. It's not all glory. It takes a lot of guts, but it's a lifetime of memories that you will build for yourself, regardless of the outcome.
Divya, one advice that you would want to give women entrepreneurs as well as the men who are supporting the women in business?
The messaging is so different. So I will try to do that, because even learning is personalized. So this message is going to be personalized. So for those young girls who are just starting their career and who don't have the responsibility of a family yet, all I want to say is give it your all, give it your 100%. These are the days when you can really, really have an unwavering commitment and shoot for the stars, because you have nothing else pulling you back, and you have your complete family supporting you. You're gifted with education, and I'll have to say that, because the unfortunate situation in the country is that, while we are steadily moving up and steadily moving ahead, if you're a girl, you have so many more challenges as you rise up. So remember that you're gifted with education, gifted with a career opportunity. Now give it your best. To those who are, like me, in their mid 30s. And this is the time in your life when you've started a family. It's an amazing feeling. And for all of you who feel that it's extremely difficult, let me tell you that actually it is. Now, someone is telling you otherwise, look, they're lying. It is difficult, but this time too shall pass. And if you can hold on now, because these are your most crucial years, both in terms of having a family, which is so, so important, equally important as building your career. Don't give up one for the either. But if you can build that support system around you, because the secret of me doing whatever I'm doing today is that amazing family who's always held me up, supported me, guided me, and has already pulled me up for making mistakes, has always done that, but has also empowered me to take the decisions and be bold and move in the right direction. So have that sort of support system around you, and you will understand that uh, as you move ahead, that it was well worth it. And that's my advice to those who are mid career, because for a woman, it's not like one single message will do it. And for those who are leaders and entrepreneurs and and winners in their own right, all I want to say is to please enable more women around them. It actually goes without saying, they are doing it already. Look at the examples around you, and everywhere you will see that it's women who are empowering more women, and pulling up leaders within the teams is so much better than just hiring from outside. It's worked for us, and that's why even at BYJUS we have a 40% representation at the top and 40% representation throughout the company. And that's the simple reason for that is we've pulled up our leaders from within, and we found the strength in our own community, and that's given wings to so many young women to chase their dreams.
In fact, thank you, Ghazal. Thank you, Surbi. And thank you, Divya, so much for joining us on the show. And I mean, this is a great message to all entrepreneurs down here that, believe in your dreams, learn, try to execute. And if it's a failure, probably try again and don't give up, because that's something which will help you succeed as well. So, in fact, on this International Women's Day, let's actually celebrate all the incredible women in our lives, whether they are your mother, wife, daughter, and let's show our admiration for their accomplishments and dedication to creating a world where it's a better place to live in as well. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.